You may have seen that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell sat for an interview with Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan over the weekend. Most of that conversation aired on Sunday and a few times since here on the streaming network. But we have never before seen portions, including this exchange.
Do you stand by your past comment that you will support Donald Trump if he's the party nominee?
Look, it's too early to be talking about, I can't recall ever not supporting the Republican nominee, but I don't know who that's going to be yet. In the meantime, let me say one more time, we have a job to do. The election is next year, and the threats to the United States and to our allies are enormous.
Mm-hmm. So just to button up, are you confident we can avoid a shutdown and that this national security package can be delivered on by Congress?
Well, we're going to take a good hard look at it and probably make some suggestions and be particularly interested in the border part of it. We think that's a disaster and needs to be addressed.
And that'll help you bring along the rest?
It certainly would help.
Will we avoid a shutdown?
A government shutdown? No, I don't think that'll happen.
We'll see. Joining me now, Daniella Diaz and Andrew Desiderio. Daniella, a congressional reporter for Politico and co-author of Huddle, a must-read recap of all things Congress. And Andrew is a senior congressional reporter for Punchbowl News, which is also a must-read newsletter and texting service on all things Congress. So who better to bring in at the start of what could be another busy week on Capitol Hill? Also give you both an excuse to get off the Hill for at least a few hours, as it's clearly been a tricky place to be the last few weeks. Daniella, he doesn't think there's going to be a shutdown. Until we have a speaker, we have no way of knowing. We have these 9 running. Is there someone in that collection who could conceivably lead the House Republican caucus to avoiding a shutdown if they're chosen quickly?
You know, I've been covering this for the last, I'm losing track now, 20 days since they booted McCarthy as speaker. And I've lost faith personally as a reporter. Most of the press corps has, most of the members have lost faith that they could possibly, anyone could get 217, which is that magic number that's needed to become speaker on the House floor. What we're going to see in the next 24 hours is 9 members try to get 217. There's going to be a long ballot process tomorrow morning, possibly 8 secret ballots. It could take hours for one person to emerge from that. Of course, the leading candidate being Tom Emmer, who's currently the majority whip. But it's unclear whether even he can get 217 votes on the House floor. So it's all up in the air. And also want to note that only 5 of the members that are running for speaker have actually voted to keep the government open the last time it happened. And that CR is the reason why McCarthy was booted in the first place. And members are already talking about, Republican members specifically, that they're going to have to do another CR to keep the government open. And that's going to be another challenge in itself, considering that's what led to McCarthy being booted in the first place. So a lot of things in flux, and it's unclear how this is going to end. Ed?
And if you look at the House calendar, there are only 8 legislative days left, which means the House is supposed to be in session doing work between now and November 17th when this thing ends. So conceivably, you know, they're going to bump up right against that or blow through it, and somehow they're going to have to pass another continuing resolution. You sit over in the upper chamber most of the time. How frustrating is this for them?
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating. I mean, you talk to Republican senators, and the first thing they say, even McConnell has said it actually, is we got to get rid of the motion to vacate. It's a ridiculous sort of thing hanging over any Republican speaker.
This is the vote that triggered everything.
Right. That's what allowed McCarthy to be booted from the speakership in the first place, with just a small minority of Republicans in support of that. But, you know, there is going to have to be a continuing resolution to fund the government past November 17th. There's no way all 12 appropriations bills are going to be passed and that they're all going to be conferenced in the next few weeks, especially since we don't have a speaker right now still, and we don't know when that might happen. So what McConnell's referring to is, well, he's not inspiring a lot of confidence in the idea of avoiding a government shutdown, number one. And number two, this is just an acknowledgement that the CR is going to have to be necessary. And a lot of these conservatives who voted to boot McCarthy in the first place were upset that they had to resort to a CR in the first place. And that is the result of this now 3-week-long saga where we don't have a speaker, which is they can't consider anything on the floor, much less appropriations.
And if I could just add, it's McConnell being entirely optimistic about the House. He has always been kind of a more measured voice. but House Republicans don't listen to him.
Right.
So it's going to be really interesting. He's saying there's not going to be a shutdown, but really he has no say, and it could be really chaotic.
Sometimes they use him as a foil, not listen to what he says, literally do the opposite of what he does.
Right.
Yeah.
He had some other things to say regarding what Congress is up to in the conversation with Margaret. Let's take a listen to what else he had to say.
To stand up, though, the United States military would like some of its military commanders to get the promotions that they have been appointed for. Senator Tuberville has a hold on at least 300 military nominations. Yeah. Why haven't you been able to get him to back off?
Well, I disagree with that decision. These people that are being held are not policymakers. They're in the military.
Commander of the Navy's Fifth Fleet, Deputy Commander of CENTCOM.
Yeah.
Pretty important jobs for a crisis in the Middle East.
I agree with you totally, and I've told Senator Tuberville, and I've said publicly that I don't think this is the way to go, and it's very, very concerning.
Why isn't he backing down?
You'd have to ask him.
But he's not listening to you.
Well, look, this is not a dictatorship. I can't order people to do things. I've said publicly I thought it was a mistake, and I'm telling you again publicly I think it's a mistake.
So bad to do, but I can't do anything to stop him. Andrew, it is significant that these hundreds of military nominations still being held up, even how many, 2 weeks into this conflict in the Middle East?
Right, exactly. So in mid-July, I was in Lithuania for the NATO summit with a coterie of senators who had traveled there. They went to a military base near the border with Belarus, where we heard actually explosions in the distance where they're trying to sort of intimidate the American troops that are nearby and also training the Ukrainians on our equipment. And, you know, one of the messages that those commanders at that military base were giving to the senators on that day in July was, hey, you guys got to impress on Senator Tuberville to lift his holds. And what all the senators said in response was that they think it's going to end soon. They think that, you know, it's going to get, you know, the number of stalled promotions is just going to snowball eventually, that, you know, it's not sustainable to keep doing this. We're 3 months later now, and Senator Tuberville has the same position. And frankly, he's benefiting politically from it because in his state it's very popular, and he's raising a ton of money off of it. So in many ways, there are some perverse political incentives that are preventing this from coming to a resolution.
And do we think we get a quick confirmation of Jack Lew to be the ambassador to Israel in the next few weeks?
It won't be quick. They'll get it done eventually. So on Wednesday, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee is going to vote on his nomination, and then it'll be kicked to the Senate floor. A lot of Republicans have said Jack Lew is not the right guy for this job, and they've said they'll do anything they can to hold it up. If Schumer files cloture, which is a procedural term on the nomination, it will probably take about a week to confirm him, absent an agreement to speed it up.
And in a minute or less, the question you've been asked by friends, family, your Uber drivers: how quickly does the speaker thing get resolved?
Should we start a bet? I feel like we got to start figuring out who could be speaker. No, I really do think we'll see what happens the next 48 hours, but attention will shift if there's not a speaker by Wednesday back to that idea of empowering the acting speaker, Patrick McHenry. That idea was killed last week in conference, but it seems to be the only way that they can figure this out.
Why doesn't he want this job?
It's the least coveted job in Washington.
I suppose that's one way of looking at things. Yes. You know who has good jobs, though? Daniella Diaz and Andrew Desiderio, and they do them well. Thank you both for being here. Come by again.
Thanks, Ed.
Good to see you guys.